Welcome to Shomach Shav on the Daf, Shir Sponsor, Louis Nishma, Saram Yaakov Shalom Le'abas Yitzchok. We're holding in Horayos Daf Yud, one daf in Horayos over here, which is full with Agadata. This daf is learned in this cycle on Chai Elul, which is the Yarzeit of the Maharal, and the Maharal starts his Chidushi Agodos and Horayos from this daf. So we learn a big Yarzeit the Maharal says on this daf. The Gemara in the end of Amud Aleph tells us that a Melech, when can a Melech stop? He's not going to be a Melech anymore. Not if he becomes sick, not if he becomes old, but if he has tzaras. And the Gemara brings the pasuk that says that Vayeshe bebeis hachovshis, that when the king got tzaras, he was sitting at beis hachovshis. What's beis hachovshis? It's lashon freedom. So the Gemara learns from here that a king, when he's a king, he's basically a slave. As the Gemara concludes in the beginning of the Yud and base, that Gamliel told his Talmidim, I'm giving you slavery. As the pasuk says, so the Gemara is contrasting and saying the king is considered to be the slave, he's an eved. And on the other hand, the one who's free, the one who's chofshi, is the Metzorah. The Metzorah is considered to be free. Why are these two extremes? The king on one hand and the Metzorah on the other hand. So the Maharal says over here in Chidushi Agodos, and very similarly he says in the Siva HaNovel and the end of Parakeh, he says the emphasis is that all Am Yisrael are responsible for each other. That's the whole idea of close Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael, each person in Am Yisrael is responsible for somebody else. We mentioned a few days ago, the Maharal also says regarding halva, lending money to somebody else is a big mitzvah. As lashon livui, you're helping him out. That's why Ribbis is so chomer, because Am Yisrael need to help each other, need to be milav each other. The one who's the most responsible, who he needs to take care of every individual Klal Yisrael, is the king. The king is the heart of Am Yisrael. The king is the one he is serving every single limb in the body of Am Yisrael. So he is the ultimate slave, so to speak, the one who serves every part of Am Yisrael. Every individual also has it. Kol Yisrael b'nei Melochim. Kol Yisrael have something with Malchus because there's something that they're connected and responsible for others. But there's one individual who is completely the opposite. He doesn't have sheiches to others. He's not serving others. And that is the Metzorah. Bodod yeshem michutz lamachane. He's alone. He's not with anybody else. He's not connected to anybody else. He has no leverage to anybody else. So the opposite of a king is a Metzorah. The only time that a king will stop being king is if he has tzaras. If he's sick or he's old, he's still a king. But if he's Metzorah, tzaras is the exact opposite of a melech. Now over here, on the Chidushi Agodos over here, they send us to the Maharal Chidushi Agodos in Sanhedrin Daf Kuf Amud Beis. And there it says that Achitophel thought he would be king because he saw tzaras shezorcha lo ala mosoi. So the Maharal there goes to explain that a Metzorah and a king are similar to each other. The same way Metzorah is separate from everybody else. So also the king is separate from everybody else. He's Mesulat min haklal ve'eino bechlal. He's different. He stands alone. He's not part of Am Yisrael. So at first glance, it seems to be the Maharal is contradicting himself. On one hand, he says that the king is the exact opposite of Metzorah, because the king, he is connected to everyone in Am Yisrael, while the Metzorah is completely separated. And on the other hand, he's equating a king and a Metzorah that they're both considered to be nivdal min ha'am, not part of the nation. But if you look closely in the Maharal, and the Maharal alludes to that there in Sanhedrin, what the Maharal seems to be talking about is two different inyanim by the Melech. There's one inyan that the king is not part of the nation. You have Kvod Malchus. You have to give him his own place, it's his own shrara. There's a Kvod Malchus that the king is not just one of many. He's not another person in the nation. He's someone who's separate, who's nivdal. That's mitzad who the king is. But then there's what the king has to do, what his job is. The king's avodah is to be the heart of Klal Yisrael. And if you take the mashal of the Maharal himself, that makes sense. The heart is a standalone limb. It's not there, it has its own chashivas, its own place, its own compartment. But it's giving life to every other limb. So mitzad where is the heart? It stands on its own. But what does it do? What it does is it gives life to the entire body. The Metzorah stands on his own, but doesn't have any connection to anybody else. So mitzad, what he does, he's the opposite of the king. Mitzad, the fact that he's standing on his own, there's some similarity to the king. So that's why they're the two opposites. And this is a Yarzeit the Maharal says in many places. Many times the opposites have many similarities. They're two extremes. And the extremes, you see two things that they have similarities, but that's where the difference is. And hopefully we're zoichet to understand another def and divrei Maharal in the day of his Yarzeit. Anyone who wants to join the Shomachshava email list, so let's go please email shomachshava@gmail.com.